Back in the Gen 1 days, the Pokemon Master Trainer board game was released. This game tasks you and your friends to roam through Kanto, catch Pokemon, and be the first to defeat the Elite Four. As a tiny tot, I played this game all the time, and I'd even use the pieces to make up my own games. I definitely lost or ruined a lot of the game pieces in the process, but a few years ago, I received a complete copy as a gift. Even though this game isn't one that I'd consider to be challenging or even fun, it's something I really treasure for nostalgia alone. Well, recently I saw it sitting on my bookshelf, and my stupid, broken brain thought, can this game be Nuzlocked? The answer is probably, but I don't think that'd be very fun to watch. So instead, I'm going to have this board game give me my encounters to play through Pokemon Fire Red. I'll be playing with the normal Hardcore Nuzlocke rules, which are listed here and in the video description. The encounter rule is a bit different, but we'll get to that later. This is a quick Nuzlocke of the Pokemon board game. I name myself Quick, and Professor Oak allows me to choose a starting Pokemon, which I'll be doing using the Pokemon board game. Although I have the physical copy of this game, I figured it'd be easier to show it through Tabletop Simulator. The game has 6 starting Pokemon, the 3 normal starters, Pikachu, Clefairy, and Meowth. In order to randomly select one, I'll put them all back in the bag, shuffle them, and draw one out. My starter will be Meowth. I add Meowth to the game, randomly assigning gender, nature, IVs, and ability if it has more than one. I nickname Meowth Exploding Kittens, and he defeats my rival using Stab Scratch. I get my Pokeballs from Professor Oak, so now it's time to talk about how encounters will work in this challenge. Whenever Fire Red requires me to move between 2 cities, I'll move my pawn on the board game. So, I'm first required to go to Viridian City to do the catching tutorial, so I'll move the pawn from Pallet Town to Viridian City. To determine my movement, I'll roll the dice. Some spots have Pokemon that I'll be able to catch, and some spaces say draw event card, which I'll treat as blank spaces. So, I roll the dice and get a 1, so I can move my pawn 1 space. This space has a Pokemon I can attempt to catch, so I flip it over, and it's Poliwag. Each Pokemon has dice rolls that are required to catch it. For any Pokemon with a pink background, those are 3, 4, and 5. So, I roll the dice to see if I can catch Poliwag, and I get a 5. Poliwag is added to the team. I roll for movement again and get a 3, so I'm in Viridian City. I add Poliwag to the team, naming it Monopoly. I make it to Viridian City, and my next destination is Pewter City. So, I roll for movement, get a 5, and move 5 spaces. I land on a Pokemon, which is Paris. Unfortunately, roll a 6, which is not one of the options to catch Paris, and roll enough to get to Pewter City without any other encounters. On the way to Pewter City, in the Viridian Forest, I ran into a bug catcher. They had 2 Weedle, one of which wrecked my completely underleveled team. I think I got too caught up in having unique Pokemon to remember that I actually needed to grind up. So I have to restart, and on attempt number 2, I pulled Squirtle as my starter. I went ahead and grabbed the actual one from the game, and I named it Squabble. For my encounters before Pewter City, the only Pokemon that I landed on was Voltorb. I rolled the dice to catch it and got a 4, which allowed me to add Voltorb to the team. I named it Trodenames. This time I made it through Viridian Forest without any casualties and made it to Pewter City. I got the team up to the first level cap of 14. As a side note, I'm using infinite rare candies in this challenge, mostly because grinding is tedious and I didn't want to do it. Brock and his rock Pokemon are the first gym fight, so I send out Squabble. Squabble can knock out Geodude with 1 water gun, and Onix comes out next. Onix outspeeds but misses a bind, which doesn't matter because I'm able to knock it out with 1 water gun. That's the first badge. Right after the battle, Squabble evolves into a beautiful Wartortle. To get to the second gym, I need to go from Pewter City to Cerulean City. On the board game, this takes me into an area with green Pokemon, who are better but also harder to catch. I roll a 6, which gets me into the area with green Pokemon. I do land on one and it's Poliwhirl. Unfortunately, I don't get the 4 or 5 needed to catch it, but I continue moving and land on another Pokemon, who I flip over and is Golbat. This time, I do get the right number, and I can add Golbat to the team. Since Zubat doesn't evolve into Golbat until level 22, which is above my level cap, I add in Zubat, who I name Battleship. I make it through Mount Moon and into Cerulean City. Against Misty and her water types, Trodenames is going to be my ace. Misty sends out Staryu first, and I send out Trodenames. Trodenames outspeeds and knocks out Staryu with 1 spark. Next is Starmie, who Trodenames can get under half health with 1 spark. Water Pulse can't do enough, and Trodenames is able to knock out Starmie with 1 more spark. And we have our second badge. I have some stuff to do before I can make it to the next city, including defeating my rival and getting the SSN ticket from Bill. Next, I need to travel from Cerulean City to Vermilion City. But to get there, I go underground, and I avoid Saffron City completely. So until I'm able to get into Saffron, I'm going to be avoiding that space. So I'll use this card to cover the city, and I'll ignore it during my movement. For this leg, I don't land on any Pokemon spaces, so I keep the same team that I had before. I make it to Vermilion City and board the SSN. I defeat my rival on the boat, but I'm forced to overlevel Squabble. So I put him in the box for the fight against Lieutenant Surge. I have to be careful here with only 2 Pokemon and 1 takes super effective damage from electric moves. To start, we both send out our Voltorbs. I use Sonic Boom, which does exactly 20 damage, and Lieutenant Surge does the same. I use Tackle to avoid putting Voltorb in healing range, and Surge goes for Sonic Boom again. Since I outspeed, I can knock Voltorb out with 1 more Sonic Boom. Next out is Pikachu. I use Sonic Boom, which thankfully would be a 2-hit KO, and Pikachu paralyzes me. Since I'm slower now, Pikachu uses Double Team, and I get fully paralyzed. Pikachu attacks me, but it procs my Static ability, and then I miss a Sonic Boom. The Static was clutch as Surge just heals up, and I hit a Sonic Boom to knock out Pikachu. Last is Raichu, and it's looking a little dicey for me. Raichu starts by going for a double team, and I hit with Sonic Boom anyway. Raichu uses Shockwave, and Trodenames barely hangs on, and then hits another Sonic Boom. I have to switch into Battleship now and hope for no Shockwave, and thankfully Raichu goes for Quick Attack. Raichu now goes for a Shockwave, but Battleship manages to hang on, and then lands a Wing Attack, which actually crits. Somehow, someway, I escape this battle with no casualties. To get to the 4th gym, I need to go back to Cerulean City and then hook around to Lavender Town. I don't get any chances for encounters on my way to Cerulean, but I do on the way to Lavender. My encounter is Kingler. I need a 4 or a 5 to catch it, and I actually get a 4. So Kingler is added to the team. I'm also using Meowth since I don't have anyone that knows Cut, so I look through the tokens and I add it to the team. Sort of. We head to Lavender Town without any additional encounters. I name Kingler King Domino. As I mentioned before, I'm randomizing abilities, which honestly can make or break a Pokemon. Unfortunately, this Kingler has Hyper Cutter, which is significantly worse than its other option, Shell Armor. Preventing your attack from being reduced isn't awful, but not being able to get crit is so nice for planning. Then I realized that Kingler can actually learn Cut, so I remove Meowth from the team. I make it through the rock tunnel without much trouble, and I'm into Lavender Town. Lavender Town isn't the final destination though, that would be Celadon City. So I roll for movement, land on a space with a Pokemon and its Magneton, and roll a 6, which is not an option to catch it. Just before making it into the underground tunnel, I ran into Super Nerd Aiden. My team was a little beat up from the previous trainers on Route 8, and also Squabble was 1 fight away from overleveling. He has mostly electric Pokemon, which puts my team of mostly water and flying types at a disadvantage. I stayed in 1 turn too long against Coughing, and it killed Trodenames. And although Battleship was able to take Coughing out, his electric Pokemon took out King Domino and Battleship. Squabble was able to take out Magnemite, but at the cost of overleveling. With only 1 overleveled Pokemon, I had to restart. It's attempt number 3. Who knows what magic and wonder will await me this time? My starter is Charmander, who I name Kangaskhan. I don't get any encounters between Pallet Town and Viridian City, but I do on my way to Pewter City. I land on a Pokemon, and it's revealed to be Diglett. I roll to catch it, and I get the 3, 4, or 5 that I need. I add Diglett to the team, and keep moving, actually getting another encounter. This one is Rattata, and I roll the number I need again. 3 Pokemon before the first gym, what a world. I named Diglett Connect 3, and it has the Sand Veil ability, which isn't much of a factor versus its other option, Arena Trap. Ability is a huge factor for Rattata though, and unfortunately, this one has the bad ability. Guts is so much better than Runaway, so it's unfortunate to see. I name Rattata Mousetrap. Against Brock, Connect 3 will be my primary option. A magnitude 6 or greater would be a 2-hit KO against Geodude, and Tackle does about a quarter damage to me. I only get a magnitude 4 the next time, so Geodude lives. Another Tackle puts me in a tricky spot. However, I can safely magnitude, which I do, and kill Geodude. I'm low health when Onix comes out, but I decide to stay in. Magnitude 6 or greater will be a 2-hit KO again, but I can't stay in, especially with the speed drop. I switch to Mousetrap since Charcassonne is weak to Onix's rock moves. Unfortunately, Onix locks me into the battle, and Hyper Fang does nothing to him. I lower Onix's defense a few times as it gets a few hits against me. I still can't switch out, so I have to sack Mousetrap, but Onix misses his attack, and I'm freed from bind. So I switch into Charcassonne, and thankfully Onix uses Tackle. With no speed drop, I can knock out Onix with one Metal Claw. That was much more intense than I anticipated. On the next leg of my journey, I catch a Bellsprout, but I'm not able to catch any of my other encounters. For some reason, I forget to add Bellsprout to the game though. Charcassonne evolves into Charmeleon, and Mousetrap evolves into Raticate. Next is Misty, and the fact that I forgot to add Bellsprout to the game is a huge mistake here. I don't have anything that can counter Misty's water Pokemon particularly well. So, Mousetrap will have to do. Mousetrap is totally fine though, knocking out Misty's Staryu with one Hyper Fang. And then, Mousetrap outspeeds Starmie, and Hyper Fang is a 2-hit KO. It takes a Water Pulse and then knocks Starmie out. Who needs that freaking Bellsprout anyway? On my way to Vermilion City, I encounter my first blue Pokemon. It's Fearow, who needs a 3 or a 4 to catch it. I get a 5, so no Fearow for me. Time to face Surge, and luckily I have a ground Pokemon. Dig knocks out Voltorb in one hit, but can't do the same to Pikachu as it uses Double Team on the underground turn. Dig misses again as Pikachu goes up to +4 evasiveness. Dig misses again, but it finally hits even though Pikachu is at +6 now. Finally, we have Raichu, who employs a similar strategy as Pikachu. My first Dig does hit, but doesn't kill. Surge heals up, and I go for Dig again, which hits but doesn't kill. Connect 3 avoids a crit quick attack and knocks out Raichu with a Mud Slap. A very annoying fight, but we come out victorious. On the journey back to Cerulean City, I actually get another chance to catch Fearow. And this time, I get what I need to add it to the team. This is also when I realize I should have had a Bellsprout this entire time. I get no additional encounters before Cerulean, and on my way to Lavender Town, I'm not able to catch anything else. I add the new team members, Trubel, the Bellsprout, and Wingspan, the Spearow. Connect 3 evolves into Dugtrio, so his name finally makes sense, and Trubel evolves into Weeping Bell. I didn't pick up any potions for the rock tunnel, so my team is kinda struggling. It all comes to a head as Wingspan is taken out by a trainer's Slowpoke. Sorry buddy, you never even got to be the Fearow I caught you as. I make it out of the tunnel bruised and broken, but we're finally in Lavender Town. I get no additional encounters on my way to Celadon. I avoid the trainer that ended my run last time, and for the first time, make it to Celadon City. Your first priority here is to take on Erica, the 4th gym leader. She starts with Victory Bell, and I start with Charcassonne. Ember does just under half damage, as Victory Bell goes for a paralysis, which I shake off with a Cherry Berry. Ember barely misses the range, which causes huge repercussions. Erica heals up, and I get a low roll again. I'm slower due to my paralysis, so I take an acid and then don't hit the range again, taking one more acid before knocking Victory Bell out. Charcassonne was supposed to be my ace in this fight, and now he's in a lot of danger. Tangela comes out next, and thankfully just goes for an Ingrain, as I can knock it out with one Ember. Last is Vileplume, so I switch into Trubel. I'm able to land a Sleep Powder, but Erica just heals up. I get a defense drop on acid though, so I do good damage on my next acid, but then Vileplume puts me to sleep. Good thing I'm a planner though. I get a crit acid, although I likely would have killed anyway, and we have our 4th badge. The other important thing to do here is infiltrate the Team Rocket base, and meet Giovanni for the first time. Surprise, surprise, I underestimated this fight, going in way underleveled than I needed to. Trubel put Onix to sleep and knocked it out with one Bullet Seed, and knocked out Rhyhorn as well. Kangaskhan is a whole different beast. It starts with a Fake Out, which always causes me to flinch, and lowers my defense before I put it to sleep. I'm able to get a Bullet Seed off, which does almost nothing, before Kangaskhan wakes up and destroys me. I send out Charcason, who misses a Mega Kick and almost dies to Kangaskhan's Mega Punch. I send out Connect 3 to take a bite and use Dig while Kangaskhan thankfully misses. That gives me the idea to lower Kangaskhan's accuracy as it lowers my defense, and I do it again, which causes Kangaskhan to miss his Mega Punch. From there, it's a dig and a miss, and one more dig to barely escape the fight. Then, I took the wrong way out of the building, causing me to run into not one Team Rocket grunt that killed one of my team members, but a second Team Rocket grunt, who I thankfully outspeed and OHKO with Mousetrap. The situation is looking dire as I head back to Lavender Town, and isn't helped by the fact that I don't catch anything on my way there. I evolve Charcason into Charizard, so my team is as strong as possible to take on my rival. Since I'm so overleveled, I can get by it without much trouble. I make it to Saffron City and go through the Silphco plot. I have to fight my rival again, and this time his Pokemon are way more reasonably leveled. Charcason can take Pidgeot out in 2 hits, but Blastoise significantly lowers the health of both Mousetrap and Charcason. Charizard can eventually take out Blastoise, but both my team members are so low health that Charizard gets taken out by Growlithe and Mousetrap gets taken out by Execute. Having only 2 Pokemon alive at this point in the game just isn't feasible. It's attempt number 4, who knows what magic and wonder await me this time, or whatever. My starter this time is Pikachu, and actually that makes me kind of excited. An electric Pokemon as your starter is pretty cool. I give it the name Pictionary. For my potential early game encounters, I run into an Oddish. I roll to see if I can catch it, and I get a... what? I get a 5, so definitely nothing weird going on here. I rolled to catch a Krabby, like attempt number 2, but I don't get it. And I find a Geodude that I am able to catch. Aside from Pictionary, we have Raucous, the Geodude, and Gloomhaven, the Oddish. Fighting Brock is super easy when you have a grass Pokemon. Gloomhaven uses 1 Absorb to knock out Geodude, and a 2nd Absorb to knock out Onix. On my way to Cerulean City, I found a Grimer, who I caught, and a Lickitung, who I also caught. I already have a team of 5, that's awesome. I add a Grimecola, the Grimer, and Hungry Hippo, the Lickitung, to the team. Before Misty, Gloomhaven evolves into Gloom, and now my large, diverse team is ready to take on Misty. I send out Pictionary, who can't quite one-hit KO Staryu, but Misty only goes for a Harden, so I can knock Staryu out on the next turn. Starmie does a ton of damage to Pictionary with Water Pulse though, and confuses me, although I am able to hit through. Of course, I have to switch, so I go into Gloomhaven, who takes a Water Pulse but also gets confused. Starmie knocks down my health a bit more as I hurt myself in confusion. I switch to Grimer for a turn to shake off the confusion, and then go back to Gloom. I avoid a crit from Swift and then get a bit of health back with Absorb, but I need to switch again. So I send out Hungry Hippo, who takes a Swift and a Water Pulse and then knocks Starmie out with a Mega Kick. A true team effort for this battle. I didn't get any new encounters on my way to Vermilion, so the same team will be taking on Surge. I do have a Geodude for this fight, but I decide to send out Lickitung first. Since Geodude doesn't have a lot of HP, Lickitung can take Sonic Booms from Voltorb. And Lickitung knocks Voltorb out with 1 Mega Kick. Since I'm healthy, I decide to stay in with Lickitung. Pikachu is certainly making it hard for Mega Kick to land, but after going for a Shockwave, Mega Kick does hit and knocks out Pikachu. Raichu employs the same strategy, but Hungry Hippo lands his first Mega Kick. It barely doesn't kill though, and Surge heals up, and I miss my next move. I do get another move in, but after Raichu paralyzes me, I need to switch. So I switch to Geodude and knock out Raichu with 1 Magnitude. Raucous evolves into Graveler, and the team keeps on rolling. I'm not able to catch anything on my way to Lavender Town, and I make it through the rock tunnel much more responsibly than last time. No encounters on the way to Celadon either. After an encounter-heavy beginning, things are starting to fall off. I make it to Celadon and head to the department store to buy some critical items. I use the Thunderstone to evolve Pictionary into Raichu. And now it's time to take on Erica. I send out a Grimecola first, who can slowly work down Victory Bell. Using Sludge, I can eventually knock it out. Next is Tangela, who again just goes for an Ingrain, and my Sludge almost kills, but gets a Clutch Poison which knocks out Tangela. Finally, it's Vileplume. A Grimecola gets put to sleep, so I switch into Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven can't really do a lot, and gets put to sleep. After a bit of back and forth, Gloomhaven is in a risky position, so I switch out. Hungry Hippo does his best, but can't knock out Vileplume either, so Pictionary comes in to finish the fight. When you don't have a great option, you gotta get the whole team involved. This time, I actually took Giovanni seriously, and had Gloomhaven knock out Onix and Rhyhorn, and switched into Raucous against Kangaskhan's normal moves, taking it out with a few magnitudes. I also exited the rocket hideout the correct way this time. Imagine trying to exit out the first floor. I go back to Lavender Town to defeat my underleveled rival, climb the tower to help Mr. Fuji, and head over to Saffron, hoping and praying I can eventually get another Pokemon. Now I take on the actually hard rival fight, with Pictionary knocking out Pidgeot and Growlithe, a Grimecola taking out Execute, Raucous taking out Alakazam, and Gloomhaven using Absorb, Sleep Powder, and Moonlight Spam to beat Blastoise. This is now my furthest attempt for this challenge, and we have to take on Giovanni again, because the pacing of this game is atrocious. Raucous takes out Nidorino with 1 magnitude, Nidoqueen with 2 magnitudes, and Kangaskhan with a few. Then I switch into Gloomhaven, who takes out Rhyhorn with 2 absorbs. Now it's time to take on Sabrina, the 5th or 6th gym leader, depending on how lazy you are. Sabrina sends out Kadabra, and I send out Pictionary. It's very important that I set up a light screen to start this fight, significantly minimizing the damage special attacks will do to me. I use Thunderbolt, which does a good amount of damage, and also paralyzes Kadabra, which paralyzes me too. Kadabra just uses Calm Mind again though, and I knock it out. Next is Mr. Mime, who uses Calm Mind, causing Thunderbolt to not be a 2-hit KO. I use Quick Attack, which does more than I expect, and then Psybeam crits, and then Light Screen wears off. I switch into Raucous as Sabrina heals up. Mr. Mime goes for Calm Mind again, as Raucous lands a magnitude 9. Not sure what was needed there, but I'm glad I got a high roll. Next out is Venomoth, who uses Psybeam, which Raucous can take, but since I miss a Rock Blast, I have to risk a crit to stay in and kill Venomoth with 1 Rock Blast. Finally, it's Zamalama Ding Dong, so I switch into Hungry Hippo. It uses a Calm Mind as I miss a Mega Kick, and then launches a very scary Psychic, but I retaliate with a Mega Kick that knocks out Alakazam and gets us the 5th badge. Next I need to go to Fuchsia City, and on the board game, that takes me through Red Pokemon. Red Pokemon are all the best non-legendary Pokemon, but in order to catch them, you need to roll a 5, and only a 5. I get my first opportunity to catch a red Pokemon. I flip it over and it's Snorlax. If I can catch this, the whole team changes. I roll the dice and Next is Koga and his poison Pokemon. He sends out Coughing first, so I send out Raucous. My plan is to beef up my defense because poison moves are all physical, which seems kinda wrong to me, but that's how it is. Coughing goes for Toxic, but I shake it off with a Pecha Berry. Then Coughing goes Boom, and because of my high defense, I take it with no problem. Next is Muck, and unfortunately, I low roll Magnitude as it Toxics me. I can take it out with 1 more Magnitude, but now I'm on a timer. Next is the second Coughing, but because I miss a Rock Blast, the best thing for me to do is switch out here. So I go to my Muck, who can't be poisoned. I have the same strategy here, going up to +4 defense before Coughing goes Boom. Finally, Koga has Wheezing. I go up to +6 defense as we trade weak hits back and forth. I know that a crit from Wheezing will go through my defense buff, so I need to be careful. Eventually, I get to the point where a crit might kill me, and if I hit Wheezing anymore, Koga might heal up. So I switch into Hungry Hippo, who can knock Wheezing out with 1 Mega Kick. Koga is defeated. I do the work I need to do in the Safari Zone, and I walk around cleaning up the few plot points I missed, like waking up the Snorlax. On my way over to Lavender Town, I catch a Kingler, but that's the only thing I catch. I add it to the team and name it King Domino again, but a distinct difference from the last King Domino. This Kingler has Shell Armor. Gloomhaven also gets to level 44, and now it can learn Petal Dance. I was waiting for that move, and now I can finally evolve Gloomhaven into Vileplume. I don't catch anything on my way to Cinnabar Island, and swim on over to the fiery town of Burning Desire. Why is its nickname so horny? Am I gonna have to bonk this whole island? Anyway, I go through the mansion to grab some items, learn that Tombstoney isn't a TM for some reason, and trigger the fight with Blaine. It was so clutch to pick up Kingler here, because it knocks out Growlithe with 1 Surf, knocks out Ponyta with 1 Surf, knocks out Rapidash with 2 Surfs, and knocking out Arcanine with 2 Surfs. But I had to risk a crit to do it. Or did I? I need to go back to Viridian City to take on Giovanni the gym leader, but the board game doesn't have a direct connection between Pallet Town and Cinnabar Island, so I actually get to go all the way around and get more chances for encounters. I miss a ton of great red Pokemon because I'm not able to roll a 5, but on my way around, I run into a Slowpoke, and I'm able to catch it, adding a Slowbro to my team, who is a great Pokemon. I name mine Skipbro. Time to take on Giovanni for the third and final time. Again, Kingler is unstoppable, taking out Rhyhorn with 1 Surf, Dugtrio with 1 Surf, Nidoqueen with 2 Surfs, Nidoking with 2 Surfs, and the final Rhyhorn with 1 Surf, all with no risk of crits. I finally get my full revenge on Giovanni for killing so many Pokemon so long ago. The board game has the Indigo Plateau connected only to Cinnabar Island, so I get to go around the board one more time. Unfortunately, just like so many times before, I'm not able to catch anything. If I ever try this challenge again, I've learned a valuable lesson. Whenever possible, don't go through the red Pokemon, and instead go through the blue Pokemon. Since red Pokemon can only be caught with a 5, and blue Pokemon can be caught with a 3 or a 4, it makes way more sense to add something to the team. And oftentimes the blue Pokemon are just as good as the red Pokemon. But for this challenge, I have my full and final team. I defeat my rival once again, and trek through Kanto's Victory Road, which is a breeze as far as the battles are concerned. But these freaking puzzles, I have no idea how we did these back when we were kids. I make it to the Indigo Plateau with my 7 team members, and that means somebody doesn't get to go into the Elite Four with me. After thinking through it and planning a bit, I realized that Hungry Hippo the Lickitung is the odd one out. Its base stats are pretty poor, and even though it has an immunity to Agatha's Ghost-type moves, it's really not all that effective. So we bid him farewell, and say hello to the team for the Elite Four. First, we have my neutral-natured starter, Pictionary the Raichu. Pictionary is a speedy special attacker, with static as its ability. Its primary use is to use Thunderbolt, but it has a few other tricks up its sleeve. Next, we have King Domino the Kingler. Kingler is a physical attacker, so a Jolly Nature, which decreases special attack, is great. However, Kingler's moveset leaves a lot to be desired. Since it can't utilize its attack for its stab water moves, I have to give it some basic moves that will still hit pretty hard. However, the main asset that Kingler has is its ability, Shell Armor. Next, we have Agrimecola the Muck. Quiet Nature just affects her worst 2 stats, increasing special attack and lowering speed. Agrimecola has a high attack, and can tank special moves with a high special defense and HP. She has 2 physical attacking moves and 2 defensive moves as well. Fourth, we have Skipbro the Slowbro with a neutral nature. Its own tempo ability prevents confusion, and he has great special attack and HP. Unfortunately, he is a slow bro and gets outsped by pretty much everything. It has 2 stab special moves, as well as Blizzard, and 1 setup move. We also have Gloomhaven the Vileplume. Gloomhaven's stats are pretty consistent across the board, and his main purpose is to stall, using Giga Drain and Moonlight to get HP back, Substitute as defense, and Toxic to knock down the opponent's health. Finally, we have Raucous the Graveler, whose bold nature affects her best 2 stats, increasing defense and lowering attack. Those 2 stats are pretty much all Raucous has going for her, but she has some hard-hitting physical attacks, as well as Explosion, just in case. This is the team the board game gods have bestowed upon me, and now it's up to me, and only me, to use them to defeat the Elite Four. Let's get it. First, we take on Lorelei and her ice Pokemon. She starts with Dugong, and I send out Pictionary. Because of his high speed and special attack, Pictionary can outspeed and one-hit KO Dugong. Next is Cloyster, who Pictionary can also outspeed and one-hit KO with Thunderbolt. Third is Slowbro, who Pictionary can also outspeed and one-hit KO with Thunderbolt. This is the end of that trend, though. Thunderbolt will be a 2-hit KO against Lapras, and also gets a Paralysis proc. Lapras goes for a Surf, which will never kill Pictionary. One more Thunderbolt can knock out Lapras. Finally, we have Jinx, Lorelei's only non-water Pokemon. My plan here is to switch to Muck, who can knock out Jinx with 1 Sludge Bomb. The issue is Jinx's Lovely Kiss, which has a 75% chance of putting me to sleep. Even though I gave Agrimecola a Lumberry, it's slower than Jinx, so if she hits 2 Lovely Kisses, I'll be asleep. The alternate is to switch into something else and get put to sleep, then switch to Agrimecola when I know it won't be a Lovely Kiss. Ultimately, I decide to just hard switch into Agrimecola, and Jinx lands a Lovely Kiss, which I shake off. She then lands a second Lovely Kiss, so maybe I should have pivoted. At the end of the day though, it's not a huge deal. None of Jinx's attacks are very strong. And on my second turn, I wake up and hit a Sludge Bomb to knock out Jinx and win the first Elite Four match. Second, we take on Bruno and his fighting Pokemon. Bruno sends out Onix first, and I send out Kingdomino. Even with its weak special attack, Kingdomino can knock out Onix in one hit. Next is Hitmonchan, so I switch into Skip Bro. Rock Tomb does basically no damage and turns me into Slower Bro. Hitmonchan uses his pathetic moves before I knock it out with one Psychic. This fight is all about preserving health on Skip Bro, and Hitmonlee poses the greatest challenge to that. A crit Mega Kick from Hitmonlee still won't come close to killing me, but it makes things tricky with the rest of Bruno's Pokemon. Truly, the best option for me is to stay in, and Hitmonlee misses its Mega Kick, so I am super fine. One Psychic takes Hitmonlee out. Next is Onix, who uses the weakest Earthquake I've ever seen before being knocked out by a Surf that would have killed it 6 times over. Not even kidding. Finally, we have Bruno's ace, Machamp. I've fought many of Bruno's Machamps over my previous challenges, and this is probably the first time that I'm not concerned at all. Machamp can't do anything to kill me, and it knows it, going for a bulk up. So I destroy it with a Psychic. That's Bruno. Third, we have Agatha and her poison Pokemon. She sends out Gengar, and I send out Skip Bro. Gengar goes for a double team, which causes me to miss Psychic, and then she does it again, but this time Psychic hits and knocks her out. Next is Golbat, who isn't a threat to Skip Bro at all. It can't use Confuse Ray due to Skip Bro's own tempo ability, and even a crit bite isn't too much damage. I don't flinch and knock out Golbat with one Psychic. Arbok is out next. Even though Arbok can't kill me and I can one-shot it, I have to be cautious of my health again. The crit bite plus another potential crit here puts me in a tricky spot for the remaining Gengar, and Skip Bro is really the only team member who can adequately deal with Gengar. So, to play it safe, I switch into Kingdomino, who can't get crit, but can get poisoned. The poison doesn't really matter though, as Strength is a 2-hit KO, and I'm never able to die. One more Strength takes out Arbok. Fourth is Agatha's better Gengar. I switch back to Skip Bro, and in an absolutely best case scenario, Gengar goes for Sludge Bomb. Now I can stay in with no risk of dying, and take out Gengar while still preserving my Lumberry. Finally, it's Haunter, and having my Lumberry here is so clutch. Haunter's only damaging move is Dream Eater, which can only be used when I'm asleep. So Haunter uses Hypnosis, which I shake off, and knock it out with a Psychic. Skip Bro is making a case for MVP so far. Fourth, we have Lance and his dragon Pokemon. Lance sends out Gyarados, and I send out Pictionary. The Intimidate doesn't affect my Thunderbolt, which can knock out Gyarados in one hit. Next is Lance's first Dragonair. I don't even know which Dragonair this is, as there's no discernible difference until they use moves. So I go straight to my Blizzard user, Skip Bro, who can handle a Dragon Rage for sure. Dragonair uses Safeguard, and I miss a Blizzard. Dragonair uses Outrage, which Skip Bro can tank, and this time lands a Blizzard to knock out Dragonair. The second Dragonair comes out, and this time it lands a crit Outrage. At least Blizzard hits on the first try, and Dragonair goes down. Next is the big bad Dragonite. Skip Bro can knock out Dragonite with the Blizzard, but will die to some Hyper Beam rolls and all crits. It's important to note that Hyper Beam and Outrage are multi-turn moves. So if it uses those moves, I can plan out at least one more turn without any RNG. Since Dragonite may see a kill with some Hyper Beam rolls, it's most likely he uses that move. So I switch into the Pokemon that can best take a Hyper Beam, which is Raucous. Of course, that's not what Dragonite does. And Outrage does a ton of damage, but doesn't crit thankfully. I know that Dragonite will use Outrage for at least one more turn. So I switch into Agrimecola, who handles an Outrage. Outrage is now over, and Dragonite is confused. Agrimecola will die to a crit Hyper Beam, but I don't have a ton more options, so I decide to stay in and sack her if necessary. Sludge Bomb will also be a 2-hit KO. Dragonite just hurts itself in confusion though, so I'm able to get off a Sludge Bomb, which crits. Agrimecola, you sneaky pile of goo. Last is Aerodactyl, so I switch into a healthy Kingdomino. Wing attacks are more like Love Taps, and Surf will be a 2-hit KO. Kingdomino takes a Hyper Beam from Aerodactyl and then knocks it out with one more Surf. We are on to the champion with a full team. Time to take on my rival for the final time. He sends out Pidgeot, and I send out Pictionary. We start off easy, with Pictionary outspeeding and OHKOing Pidgeot. Next, he sends out Rhydon, so I switch to Kingdomino, who can't get crit and takes physical attacks well. Then, one Surf takes out Rhydon. Next is Executor, so I switch into Gloomhaven to try to Toxic Stall it. I'm able to land Toxic, but then Exeggutor puts me to sleep. I have some leeway to try for a wake up, as Exeggutor goes for Light Screen on its first move. On turn 2, I don't wake up, and Exeggutor does a decent amount of damage with Egg Bomb. I risk a high roll crit to stay in one more turn, but I still don't get the wake up. And now I absolutely have to switch. So I switch to a Grime Cola because Egg Bomb will never kill me. Exeggutor then barely hangs on from the Toxic Poison. That's okay though, because my rival heals up, and I knock out Exeggutor with one Sludge Bomb. Next is the Zam Slam. I decide to stay in since I'm only dead to a crit Psychic, and I can knock Alakazam out with one Sludge Bomb. And the time to play risky is the champion fight, since this is the last battle. Unfortunately, Alakazam puts up Reflect, so Sludge Bomb doesn't kill. But I can stay in to take a Psychic and knock Alakazam out with a Sludge Bomb. Next we have Arcanine, so I switch into Skip Bro, who gets crit by Flamethrower. He can take another attack, but flinches from the bite. It's worth it to risk a high roll crit, but Skip Bro flinches again. Now I need to switch to King Domino, and unfortunately, the right call is to sack Skip Bro here. It's so disappointing. Skip Bro was hands down the MVP of this Elite Four run. To have him die without doing any damage in the champion fight is so disheartening. So I send Skip Bro off to the vast cold night. But he's like, I don't think so. Skip Bro launches a Surf, which knocks out Arcanine. What a freaking play. Finally, my rival sends out Blastoise. But now I actually need to sack Skip Bro so I can get Pictionary in. But Skip Bro wasn't done yet. My friends, that is Skip Bro willing that Quick Claw to proc so he can do as much as possible to help the team. And if you think that Quick Claw proc was fun but ultimately didn't matter, I can assure you, it absolutely did. Pictionary is able to knock out Blastoise with one Thunderbolt, and we've defeated the champion. Skip Bro, you lived up to your name, bro, but I'll always think of you as a Skip King. Well, that was certainly a fun and exciting challenge. I found it really cool to use the board game to feed encounters for this Nuzlocke challenge. I hope you all felt the same way too. If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the like button or leaving me a comment. And if you're interested in seeing more, definitely click subscribe. I'll be doing more weird Nuzlockes like this, as well as continuing my letter locks, which are Nuzlockes using only Pokemon that start with a certain letter. It's been a blast, and I'll see you in the next video. This has been a quick Nuzlocke of the Pokemon board game. Thank you so much for watching.